Go back to setting this as basics, and we'll turn that down. And what we're going to do is this time we're going to modulate the filter with an LFO. So what we'll do is we'll set our LFO to maximum, and we'll set off the cutoff frequency about halfway, and then we'll set our LFO to a triangle, and again we'll play that and we'll start to increase the speed. Now obviously you can hear that, but more importantly, can you see the movement of the harmonics there? This is different yet again to T-tuning of the oscillators, and also different from pitch modulation. Although it is very similar in that the amplitude is being affected, it does look very different indeed. Now, we'll cruise through the others. You see how it's affecting them. It's important that you pay attention to this FFT, because we will be using this a lot later. So it's important to be able to identify these parameters and how they look, as well as how they sound. Let's set that to a saw. See how it's waves. Notice if we set that to a negative, it waves the other way. Then we'll switch that to a square. And again, if we increase the LFO speed, obviously, basically just as we could do to adjust the volume output of our carrier wave down there, we can adjust how much that this modulator is going to affect our carrier wave there. So for now we'll set that on full. And finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the ratio of our modulator there to some strange number, I don't know, 0.0157. That'll do. Now, what I should point out there is that a large source of confusion, which I need to clear up now, is that this number doesn't relate to a frequency, it relates to a ratio. Basically, it's the differential between the frequencies of the oscillators. I'm not dictating a specific frequency. By setting that, I'm not saying that this is 0.157 Hertz, or it's 157 Hertz, or it's 1570 Hertz. I'm essentially saying that this is a differential between the two operators. So there, I've got a differential of 1 to 0.157. So if we were to play this operator now, say at 440 Hertz, the modulator will play at 157th the speed of 440 Hertz, which would be very slow. I don't have my calculator in front of me at the moment, so you'll have to forgive me, but it will be slow. Well, in fact, what we'll do is we'll play that note now. Now, can you hear that? C, and modulators are M. Now, when we mix a modulator with a carrier, a number of sideband harmonics are generated, and well, we already know that from the previous session, but they're generated according to the following math: the carrier's frequency plus the modulator's frequency, then the carrier's frequency plus the modulator's frequency times 2, then the carrier's frequency plus the modulator's frequency times 3, then the carrier's frequency plus the modulator's frequency times 4, and so on and so forth. And as you can see there, we have C plus M, C plus 2M, C plus 3M, C plus 4M, and onwards and onwards. Let's put that math in a more practical sense. For example, let's say we've got a carrier at 1000 Hertz. Now I'm actually pointing to that with the mouse, and I might be creating some confusion there. As I discussed in the last session, this does not equate to a frequency, it's a ratio. I'm just saying 1 kilohertz because it's going to make the math easy to understand, and I'm pointing to this because I'm just basically talking about the carrier. So just an example, we'll say our fundamental note, our carrier is at 1 kilohertz. I better just switch that on now, actually. We'll say that this is at 1 kilohertz. And what we'll do is we'll set our modulator to half that, 500 Hertz. Now, obviously I'm dropping this, and 500 Hertz is half, which is a 1:2 ratio. That's not dictating that this is now 500 Hertz. I need to point that out. That's basically gives us a 2:1 ratio there. Now we can say that the harmonics this will generate will be the carrier frequency which is 1000 Hertz, plus the modulation frequency of 500. Now we add them together and that produces a harmonic sideband at 1500. Then we have the carrier frequency plus the modulation times 2. Well, the modulation rate is 500 Hz, times that by 2, that's 1000 Hz. Plus the original carrier, that's another harmonic introduced, very similar to now. We'll try a bit of resonance. I don't think there is resonance in there because we're not getting any real humps, but this may be a limitation of different synthesizers again. But let's turn that off.